So are you from LA? What's your story?
So yeah, I'm from LA, born in Iran. I was a year old when we left. So the chaos that we're seeing on American universities now worldwide is what my parents experienced in Tehran. So the revolution came in and the uprising all started on college campuses. And so my mom looked to my father and said, "We need to go now." And my father said, "No, everything's going to be okay." And my mom grabbed my 6-year-old brother and myself. I was a year at the time. She packed her bag and she said, "We're going to go for now. You can come and join us if you want, but it is not safe in this country." And we never went back again. And by the grace of God, my father was able to escape because they gave him a fake passport. He had, like hundreds of employees at the time, Muslims who were really his friends. And they turned to him and said, "We're going to help you." And they made him a fake passport. They said, "You have to say you're deaf and you're dumb. And otherwise they will hear your dialect and they will know and they'll kill you." It took him almost 3 years. He reunited with us in 1980, the first night of Passover in Los Angeles. And that was when we saw my father. And apparently I didn't recognize him. I don't remember any of this. I was so young. But he came to hug me and I said, "Who is this man? Don't touch me." And he said it was like the worst moment of his life. He couldn't believe it. But yes, I mean, we are very blessed that we are all, but because of my parents' story and our lineage, I am a very strong Zionist because of it. Yeah.
Sure. So did you grow up, like, was your family very involved in the Jewish community when you were growing up?
So when we moved to Los Angeles, the only thing that was really important to my mom was to put my brother and I in Jewish day school. She had no money. Everything was left behind. They froze all our assets. We literally, when they say we came with nothing, we came with nothing. She went to Jewish day schools, begged that they would take us, and she ended up working as a teacher, doing whatever she could so that she could, in exchange, put us in day school. So through getting involved in the Jewish day schools, my parents, then my mom started to become involved in the community, but we didn't have any money, so we couldn't be philanthropic, but we definitely, and there was no, there was really not a synagogue in Los Angeles that fit the needs of my parents' beliefs. And so my grandfather actually ended up creating a movement. So him and his buddies created like the Iranian American Federation. And so they would rent out different places for all the different high holidays where we would all gather and pray the way we knew how to pray, from Iran. And it ended up becoming the home to most Iranian, refugees and immigrants who came into Los Angeles at the time. And so that was really our involvement, was like building and creating. That was involvement with the Jewish community for my family.
So religiously, were they believers? Were they religious? What was how did they practice?
Right. So in Iran, apparently, the majority of the community was not observant in that way. So my parents didn't keep kosher. When my father left Iran and rejoined us in the United States, he made a vow. He made his covenant with Hashem that if he were to make it back safely and reunite, that he would keep kosher. And so actually, when we came to the United States, my parents became kosher then, but in Iran, they were not. And so when they came to the States, they became more observant. I was raised conservative, went to actually a reform day school, but my parents were always very much of the belief that we are traditional Jews in the sense that they believed in tikkun olam. They believe that you're a good human being. What you eat and how you pray does not, make you a Jew or not a Jew. That was always their belief. So my brother and I found our own way, paved our own path for ourselves.
Tell me more about your path.
So I have always been very spiritual. I believe that God created the world. I am a big believer in Hashem. Like in my heart and everywhere I go. Wanted to raise my family. It was very important to me that I married a Jewish man and that we raised our family with Jewish values, more important than anything else. Ended up marrying my husband, who was not observant at all. So, there was, pork and shellfish and all of that. And I said to him, well, it's really important that we keep a kosher home. So I'm okay with you eating whatever you want out of the house. I don't mind. But in our house, we need to make it sacred. We're going to, make this a Jewish home. And so he obliged. So we have a kosher home. We raise our kids, all went to Jewish day school until 6th grade. We've raised very strong Jewish women, 4 of them, which really are big Zionists. My eldest has been so outspoken all over college campuses, testified in front of Congress. So I'm very proud of the way we've raised our kids and who we are. But I would call us, conservative, traditional Jews in that way.
Yeah, that's how I grew up. Very similar.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have a soft spot for it. Feel a lot of love and warmth for that time period in my life.
Yeah.
So how did how did you get to LA Mom magazine? Where did that come from?
So I'm a journalist by trade. Got my master's in journalism from USC, and I worked, the LA Times. I worked as a managing editor of the Beverly Hills Weekly. I was always in print journalism. And then I had my first two kids, and I really wanted to be there for them. I wanted to raise them. And quite frankly, my income was all going towards, hiring a nanny and somebody to help my kids didn't make sense to me. So I decided to shift. And with the birth of my third child, I created LA Mom magazine because there was nothing out there for moms. There was not a place where we could all go, where we could get the answers we needed. I found myself Googling everything, and I wasn't getting the answers I needed. Like, oh, I went out and I drank a glass of wine. Can I now nurse my child? How long do I need to wait? So LA Mom is really a place where I have experts like pediatricians, psychiatrists, psychologists, influencers, different people share a bit about how we can all live our best lives to empower women to feel their best. That was the whole point of this. It's now going on its 15th year. So we've been around for a long time. I never really poured any money into marketing. It's grown organically. It's just the evolution of time, word of mouth. And I really do my best to just share what has made me who I am and like the little tidbits that have gotten me through all the difficult times, because we all know as moms, this journey can be very lonely and you need a tribe and you need a village. And so if we can all share, I think we can all elevate ourselves. And that's really why I created LA Mom magazine, so that we could elevate and grow together, right? If we're all better, our kids are all better. I mean, I really believe that.
For sure. I love that idea of a tribe. Because for me, like when I had my mom passed away, like I said, when I was 27, and my oldest son was 9 months old. So and she was sick when I had him. So like I always had my babies like on my own. I had no like moms or aunts or cousins and then like, and it took a while to find our Jewish community. So like it takes a while to build your tribe. And by then I was already out of the baby stage. Very, very hard. And I love this idea of creating communities of women, because I'm finding more and more, I mean, especially because like I have a house full of men, like how important it is to have your tribe. I would say it's equally important to having like a good partner, because
Yes.
they can support you in ways that men really can't.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. So as a mom and like, now a professional mom, talk to me about how to raise strong Jewish women.
I think it's really important that we understand that our kids watch everything we do, right? So we can tell them to do things, but unless they see us doing it, they are not going to follow in our footsteps if that's what we're trying to do, right? So at a young age, I made sure that anytime I got together to do anything impactful for the Jewish community, I hosted it in our home. So the kids would be young, they'd be toddlers, they'd be running around, but they would know something was going on. And as the years would evolve, they would get involved. So whether it was APAC or it was Torah study or anything that we did, I always volunteered to host it in our home, because I knew in that space, the kids would be around, they'd pick up little tidbits, and they knew that like my volunteering was all about giving back to the Jewish community, and not just the Jewish community, but it started to evolve as well. We have an obligation as Jews to help the world, right? That's what it's always been about. And so they see that we stand up for everyone. So throughout the years, the girls have watched us like march for Black Lives Matter with our Black friends. They have seen me stand up for women from all over the city. We've marched in the Women's Rights March. And so the kids know that like if we're taken care of and we feel good, it is our obligation to take care of others. So I think by doing, they've seen and they have found it to be impactful for themselves, to be enlightening for themselves. So they've stepped into their own, and now they are constantly working to heal the world. I mean, I am so incredibly and proud of all of them. I mean, just recently in Los Angeles, we had the wildfires, and it was so devastating. My daughter's in ninth grade. Her school burnt down. We were very lucky that our home survived, but many of her friends' homes did not. She felt this urge. She was so compelled to help that she stepped up with two of her friends, and they created a nonprofit immediately. And they've raised tens of thousands of dollars for the school. They've helped so many in the community just with the small things that people don't think about. Like young teenage girls, they've lost all their beauty products, right? All of those things that matter to young girls. And so she's reached out to different brands that have then donated. She set up a center in Brentwood where people could come and pick up new products and clothing and all of those things. So I just feel very proud that the girls have those Jewish values of tikkun olam and to really step into their own to help and to heal.
So as the daughter of Iranian Jewish refugees, What do you make of the situation in the world now?
We've seen this, right? This is not anything new to us. And I think if you talk to Iranian Jews, you talk to Russian Jews, this is nothing new. For American Jews, this may be new because the Holocaust was something of the past that they heard about through their grandparents, right? And so it seems so far removed. But for us, this playbook is just happening again. And so it's almost, I mean, it feels like generational trauma in a sense. Even though I was such a young child when I left, I felt it through the lens of my parents and my grandparents and my uncles and my aunts. And I knew how devastating that was and how quickly this extremism can seep into a society. And watching two of my daughters on college campuses, one of which is at Columbia University. I mean, on October 8th, I just thought to myself, oh my gosh, I need to get to New York and just pick up my child and we need to go. I am really, really worried for the United States. I'm worried for the world because extremism is growing rapidly and people still just don't get it. They just don't get it. It's very frightening to me.
Wow. So what does one do in those situations? You know, as Jews, as Zionists, we're told to choose life. We're chose to hold on to hope. And when we see the same thing playing out over and over again, how do you do that?
Right. Well, I tell you, I am so inspired by the students and the student movement because if you look at what's been happening for now almost a year and a half on the campuses, you see this insane, hateful rhetoric on one side that is asking for the death of Jews. And then you see our Jewish students on the other side, and they are literally in circles, hugging and embracing one another. And they're singing Am Yisrael Chai. They're asking for the return of the hostages. And they're doing it in such a peaceful, beautiful way because that's what we stand for. We stand for unity. We stand for strength and resilience and light. And so I've learned from them that rather than being angry, because it's very easy to be angry at what's happening, I am going to step into my love and I'm going to try and pour light into the world because I really think that is our purpose in life, especially as Jewish women. Our job is to be light, is to anchor our families, is to anchor our communities. And so I've been doing my best to do that. I've used my platform since October 7th to interview everybody I can to shed truth, to be an ambassador of truth, to really try and spread what's happening because there are such a false narrative out there. There are so many lies out there. So I'm trying to be a beacon of light through my platform by just allowing other people whose voices are not being heard to be heard through LA Mom Magazine.
Man, that's awesome. So awesome.
Thank you.
How is it emotionally going through these fires? I mean, it's got to be so intense. My sister-in-law lives in Pico. So like she saw it, but she didn't have it. So I'm curious.
Yes. Actually, I just wrote a piece that was just published on LA Mom Magazine about what happened that day and why we chose to leave and relocate to New York first. But in a nutshell, it was really scary because my daughter was yelling from her room saying, Mom, the fire. And when I tell you, from the balcony of her room looking out, it looked as though the fire was about to jump into our house, into our front yard. It was really frightening. So again, as the mother, what do? You need to stay anchored. I wanted to scream in a panic. I was really frightened. But I said to the girls, pack a bag. We haven't been told to evacuate yet. We might have to leave. I knew in my mind we need to leave now, but I didn't want to make everyone crazy because that's not going to help anybody. So everyone packed a bag, and then our phones dinged about 10 minutes later saying you need to evacuate your home. And we left, and it was about 2 weeks of being out, not knowing, moving from friends' homes, families' homes. Hotels were all packed. You couldn't even get into a hotel if you wanted to. And it was my baby, my youngest daughter's bat mitzvah, exactly 1 week after we evacuated. And so all the kippot, all our dresses, the tallits, everything that we brought from Israel actually were all in the house. And you couldn't enter. You couldn't enter your house. The police were, the National Guard was there. And so we got a little help and we snuck into our home. We grabbed the dresses, we grabbed the kippot, and we decided to move forward, even though our community was in so much pain. We spoke to our rabbis and they said the best thing you can do now is to be the light. Again, bring everyone together in community. Tell everyone, some people don't have any clothes to wear. Come as you want. Come in sweats. It doesn't matter. But we are here in community. And it ended up being the most beautiful day. 250 people showed up in the synagogue. We did a Havdalah service. And my daughter gave the most beautiful speech. She read the Haftorah and the Torah. And really just to say that no matter what happens as a community, as Jews, we move forward. And we move forward in light and in love. That was really beautiful. But right after the bat mitzvah, I realized that it was not safe. And it wasn't a good idea for us to stay. Within 4 days, I found a new school for them. We found an apartment and we moved to New York.
Wow. How are they doing with the transition?
So it's hard. My youngest one is mad at me. She's like, why did you do this to me? They're teenage girls. They have their friends. But I think in retrospect, she will look back and hopefully thank me for the move. I think they've really grown up and they've learned how to navigate the city, and you learn how to make friends and how to move forward. And it was the right decision. And whether they like it or not, we're here. We're here. But it's been challenging. It's been hard.
Sure. I can so relate with that, making Aliyah for like, for the first 3 years, I was like, okay, so how badly did I fuck up my kids' lives? Like, is it the worst? Like, is it irreparable? Like, how bad? But now I'm seeing like, they take the bus here, like a kid, you're 9 years old, you take the bus by yourself, like they just go, they do their thing, they have their friends, they speak Hebrew, like they just, they all have really found their groove. And even if academically it might have cost them something, I feel like the ability to adapt and see that they can recover from like a seismic shift is a major life skill that will serve them.
100%. And like we talk about resilience all the time. I think what you've done is really that's resilience. That's it. You learn, you move across the world and you step into your own.
Yeah, especially after October 7th,
Yes.
because there were a lot of people who left, and I shouldn't say we, my husband was hard no, but I strongly considered it. And the reason we chose not to do it was because we had just gotten settled after 2 years, which meant we'd go back and then have to reacclimate and reacclimate again. And now I'm just so grateful that we stuck it out because, I'm worried about you guys.
It's the truth. I mean, I was just in Israel. I just came back for a conference. And when I was there, my daughter and I were together. And I said, you just feel so safe here. It's midnight, alone. I'm a woman. I'm walking home. Only place in the world where you feel completely safe as a Jewish woman to be by yourself, to walk the streets. Yeah, definitely not the case. Not in the United States, which I never thought I would say. Never.
Yeah.
You get into Ubers now here, and I'm always doused in my Magen David, and I'm thinking to myself, oh gosh, should I be covering this? Who's my Uber driver? What's going on? I mean, it is a really scary time, but I will not allow the fear. I won't lead with fear, right? You got to lead with love. But the reality is that in Israel, you're surrounded by your own, and you're taken care of. It's very different.
Yeah. The other thing I like about Israel is like I know where people are coming from. Whoever hates me is very clear about it. Like, at least I know where we stand. You know what I mean? Like,
Correct.
you want to shoot a rocket at me? At least I know how you feel. Like, it's fine. Thank you for clear communication. Whereas, elsewhere, who knows? Who really knows?
Yes.
Yeah, it's wild.
Very
Cool.
true.
Is there anything else, any other experiences that jump out at you on your, Jewish mom journey that you feel would be pertinent to share?
I'm just trying to think about anything that would be inspiring.
You don't have to inspire. You can just be real.
Yeah, I know.
Which is inspiring. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.
Of course, you're amazing. I'm so excited to see all the
Thanks.
goodness that you're creating. It's awesome.
Thank God. You guys are amazing. I did not expect, I was like, no, it's just a cool project. I didn't expect to be inspired by my own project, but like what I'm hearing from all of you is just incredible. It's just making me so proud to be a Jewish woman.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's the next generation. I hope they'll feel the same way. Yeah.
God willing.